Exciting news, the Planet Peterson store on Shopify is now open. Click the top link in the description to go to Shopify, where you can check out shirts, stickers, digital artwork, and more. Thank you.
Do you think that it's illogical to believe in God, meaning a intelligent designer that transcends space and time and matter?
I don't think anybody who says that's what they believe in can even describe what that even means. Now, does that make it illogical? I wouldn't say it's necessarily illogical, but it doesn't seem to be very coherent.
Basically God being the cause, like the uncaused cause with sentience.
All right, well, that just seems unnecessary.
Why?
Why does everything. Why do we have to have an uncaused? It's like, look, we have this. There has to be something responsible for this universe we live in. Oh, I know. It's a thing that has no cause. Why can I not just say, hey, guess, hey, maybe the universe has no cause? There. It's a brute fact that the universe exists, uncaused. That would. So.
Okay, but through observation, everything that we see, uh, everything we observe is put into motion by something else. That's one of the laws of physics, right?
Well, the whole universe just is in motion.
Okay, but here's the other thing.
There's never a rest state.
Okay, so like everything is put in motion by something else, but also everything has um, basically cause and effect. We can look back and say, okay, an apple grew on a tree because the tree grew, and the tree came from a seed was somehow planted, and so on and so forth. We can trace that all the way back, but for some reason we decide to stop at let's say the universe. And even if you said, okay, well, maybe there is something that created the universe, but why does it have to be sentient? I would argue that it's logical to think that it's sentient because there's information in the universe, like DNA. DNA is information, right?
An atom has information in it.
Exactly.
Like literally everything is information.
So
So
so ev-
I mean,
everything.
what you could claim that everything is information, but if that's the case, then information just isn't special. It's just the way we describe the fact that you can glean. It's going to be impossible not to use the word information. It just describes the fact that you can glean knowledge about things by virtue of their characteristics. That's all
but
that
but
information is now.
But what we observe, though, when there's specific information, is that there's always a purpose behind it or a mind behind it. So, like a book,
What?
it's a book. We know that the information in the book being communicated came from a sentient mind.
About a carbon atom and its configuration of valence electrons.
But that's my point. The universe itself, there's information layered throughout the universe. There's laws. Do laws just come into play, just happenstance from nothing? There's laws, right?
Those laws are descriptions of the universe. The laws don't make the universe work. They're just properties of the universe that we've uh, that we think of, that we've come up with ways to conceptualize, I suppose.
right. We've come up for ways to understand, or like to conceptualize and understand how the universe behaves. But why does the universe behave in this way all the time? Do you know what I mean? Like if it was like there's something in play here that's saying for example, gravity, right? Gravity is a real thing. That is like, why did gravity come to be? It's more of a what's it called?
Perhaps there's no teleology behind it. Perhaps it just does. Perhaps it's a brute fact that the universe exists. There's nothing. There's nothing more to it. I mean, why does God have the properties that God has?
So would you say that, like, I'm not saying this is the answer, but I also don't think it's illogical to come to such a conclusion based on what on the current laws that we already observe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really trying to tell you that it's illogical. I mean, I haven't really seen the logic necessarily. I'm just wondering, why must we make this extra leap?
Because we do it anyway, even in science. For example, abiogenesis, or not abiogenesis, right? We don't know how life came to be.
Not precisely, no.
Do you have like a browser in front of you?
Yes.
Can you Google abiogenesis and go to Wikipedia?
I've read about it. I mean, I've read books about it. Like, what's your?
Where I'm going with this is no, we
I
actually do not know how life came to be. We have speculation, and we make that leap based on certain sorry, not even speculation. We have theories about how the first living.
Yeah, I mean, we have speculations about how the pyramids were built, but the idea that aliens did it is a worse idea than Egyptians did it.
Okay, well, I don't subscribe to that.
Okay, well, I mean, the I wasn't saying you were. I was saying the point was, what about the idea that life arose organically, that is to say, naturally on this planet through various chemical changing energy, probably near hydrothermal vents? Uh, there's that idea. Well, we know that a lot of the metabolic pathways associated with life can be found in those environments. We know cellular precursors can be found in those environments. We know that like amino acids can be found there and things like that. And there are autocatalytic reactions, which are like life in a way, can be found there as well. So there's that idea. Or maybe, and just maybe, a supernatural being just suddenly started forming all life. Well, I honestly think that the first thing is a better idea, and I think it's a more well supported idea. That's why I said we don't know precisely, but
But it's still a problem because it's touted as some fact that oh we came from you know abiogenesis and like our current explanations, and it's touted as a fact, and we need to know this in order for evolution to even, or not evolution, I should say macroevolution, us evolving over millions of years. That is a big problem if we don't know, if certain on what, like, how we initially came to be. So there is a certain belief we choose to believe in some of these possible explanations. Maybe it was life that came from another planet. Like, we don't know. But with the other evidences that I think points towards an intelligent mind and cause behind the universe, I don't think it's a blind faith to say that there's a intelligent designer behind
oh,
it
what
all.
evidence do you have?
We just went through that though. We observe cause and effect every
Okay.
time that and I don't need I don't need evidence to point toward
But
God to
but
arrive
your
at the
but your creator has no cause.
that's part of his characteristic. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's called special pleading. So let's say that the universe has no cause. There, I just declare it so.
You could say
What's
that, but then you would have to
I have
argue.
justification for it.
But then you would have to argue that the
The
universe
universe
is
is uncaused.
God.
No, I don't have to do that. I don't have to say, therefore, the universe is a super or a conscious mind or anything like that.
Then you're left with the problem that with um, how do we have information such as DNA?
How do we have information such as the configuration of valence electrons in an atom? It's just an inevitable process.
According to who?
According to who? Well, we know that atoms exist and they have valence electrons, and those configuration of them predicts the chemical properties of the element. Why is that? Who put it there? I'm not saying somebody put it there. It may just be a brute. That's one of its attributes. There, one of the attributes of the universe is that it contains information.
Okay, but do you see you're on the same playing field that I'm on,
Yeah, but I'm assuming fewer things, including magic.
including magic?
Yeah, you believe in magic,
What's your definition of magic?
but literally like any unexplainable supernatural sort of phenomenon. You don't have to be ugly and wear a pointy hat to do magic. Not gonna lie, when I was a kid, I actually thought that the Sarah Jessica Parker witch in Hocus Pocus was kind of hot. Then I rewatched it as an adult, and I was like, not really. I mean, still kinda, but not really.
I don't know. I would still disagree because if you're going to take the position that the universe is just always has been, then that's illogical because the universe is comprised of time, space, and matter, whereas the
Yeah,
characteristic
there's no
of
such thing
God
as
is
a
not.
time. Yeah, there's no such thing. So here's the deal. Something that is not comprised of time, space, and matter is like the definition of something that doesn't exist. You have to just assert that something exists and give like qualities of it, like it's a mind and it's all good and it has, I don't know, intentions. Well,
I,
those are just vague those are properties of something, and a thing's properties are not like actual things that exist unless you believe in like Plato's theory of forms or whatever and think that somewhere there's a realm where roundness exists, even if round things cease to exist. Yeah, something that it is out that is timeless, spaceless, and immaterial is like the definition of something that doesn't exist.
do you think that love exists?
I think love is a way we describe something that we experience.
Go on.
Well, as Rick says, Morty, I hate to break it to you, but love is just a chemical reaction that compels mammals to breed. And then he burps.
So your
I've never
love.
tried to impersonate Rick Sanchez, and that was so bad.
I've actually
So
never seen
bad.
Rick and
Oh, that explains a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
I hear a lot of good things about it. So, okay, so are you saying your love for your spouse or your parents or your children is not boiled down
Can
to
be
nothing?
explained by brain states. Yep.
It's
It's the
just
reason
boiled
why
down
people get
to
angry. It's the reason why people get addicted to things. It's the reason people are able to invoke memories. It can be described by brain states.
so it's nothing just but chemical reactions
Uh, sure.
in your brain.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a very interesting view on love.
Well, what is it then?
Well, that's my point. I think it's more than just chemical reactions in our brain.
Then what is it?
That's a question where we all want to know. But my point in bringing it up is that I think most people would agree it's not just chemical reactions.
I don't
And
think
love
people
doesn't.
think about it very much. Well, I mean, then, well, what is it? I mean, it must be something else. I mean, to tell me that it must be something else, but you don't really have an argument is just like the fact that you don't like what I said isn't an argument, and it's not a reason not to
Yeah,
believe it.
it's a stance of I've heard before, but I I can't remember why, but I'll have to ponder it. But I know that that actually breaks down. Um, let's see what Google's definition of love is. I'm just curious, like what, because love in the English language is
So, like, if you close your eyes, can you? Well, actually, we'll do a more interesting one. Can you, without hearing your mother speak, hear her voice in your mind?
yeah,
Okay. Well, is there an actual sound being produced?
no,
Okay. So something that you are experiencing that seems very real can be reduced. I'm pretty sure you could also close your eyes and imagine a tree. There is no actual tree.
right.
Yeah. So I think love is the same kind of thing, the same kind of phenomenon. But that doesn't make it not real.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on morals? Is objective morality real?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, I anymore, I don't even know what people are trying to say when they say objective. Does it mean you have does it, like people say it's true independent of like opinions or minds or situations or whatever. So, I don't know. What do you mean by objective?
Meaning it's not dependent on people's opinion.
Okay. So, like what would be an example of something that is objectively morally true?
Grape is wrong.
Okay. Why?
It's wrong because it violates another human being.
Sure. No God required.
Okay, but why is violating another human being wrong?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, that's my point. That's why I'm bringing it up because objective morality, from my worldview, if objective morality does exist, which I believe it does, because grape is wrong no matter what, no matter if civilization says
I mean,
it's right.
if it's defined as wrong, then that's why it's wrong. Why
It's
isn't
not
a
defined as wrong
bachelor?
though. It's
Why
not
isn't
defined as
a
wrong.
well, if it
Grape is,
causes harm, well, if it causes harm and harm is defined as being wrong, then it would be wrong for that reason. Like,
but
why
why is
isn't a
harm wrong?
bachelor married?
Sorry,
Why is a bachelor not married?
why?
Well, because they can't be. If they were, they wouldn't be a bachelor because they're defined as somebody who is not married. That's why they're a bachelor. And that sounds like circular reasoning, but it's just kind of that like a definition. You can have like something can be logically true in that sense. I don't know what you call it if that's a priori, but it there's no further rationalization or justification to that. So if
Yeah, because you're
harm is defined as being wrong and this thing you're talking about causes harm, then it's objectively wrong. I guess for that reason, you could make that argument.
Sure, but that's not the definition of it. The definition of it is something that we won't explain, right? Because people know what the actual definition of it is. But why is that thing wrong? Well, maybe it's because
Because it causes harm.
it causes harm. Okay, why is harm
Sure.
to a human being wrong?
Well, I mean, isn't it defined as being wrong? I mean,
Yeah, but why?
I could tell you why it
Why is it
does
wrong?
that because well, because it's maladaptive and it can cause the person to die or suffer or um well, I mean, those are the I guess that would be it. But then we're just going to say why is it wrong for somebody to die or to suffer? Well, aren't those things like if those things are obviously in opposition of human well-being, but then it just turns into why should we engage in human well-being? And it's like, well, okay, I'm not telling you. Now all of a sudden we're trying to derive oughts from ises, and I'm just trying to tell you that these things do in fact cause harm, right? So that would be the objective. The objective is don't. Well, the objective would be it's objectively true. We don't have unobjective, but it's objectively true that these things do cause harm. So there it
Right.
is.
So it basically boils down to if our objective morality, because I think you would agree that objective morality is a thing, but maybe that came as
No,
an evolutionary. Sorry?
I actually have no idea. I don't take a strong stance one way or the other,
Okay.
but I think I pretty much know where you were going to go with that, and I pretty much agree with the logic behind that. Like, why do humans have a sense of empathy and a sort of vague sense of right and wrong or whatever? I think it's evolutionarily ingrained within us. But I think we have some deep flaws. But by using like rational arguments, we can wiggle our way out of those flaws, that is.
So at the end of the day, if objective morality stems from just the evolutionary, let's say, process of advancing the human race, it's we've evolved over time to have these sense of human nature and morals because it will help us further our species. Like who just like what am I trying to say here?
Who decides what's right and wrong?
No, no. What I'm trying to say is like, why is the advancement of the human race a good thing? Because we deem that that's good.
Um, I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to be a good thing, I guess, but it can be the objective, can't it? I mean, I guess I would sort of say it's just an inevitable consequence of what we are. No species actively seeks its own destruction. Funny enough, except for human beings, sometimes there are some people who I am convinced are trying to usher in an apocalypse, like Lindsey Graham, for example. But with those very few exceptions, it's just something that humans will do. I don't know. This isn't super interesting to me, actually.
Okay.
Is there? I got like three other people
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
waiting,
That's cool.
but
That's cool. Thanks for